When we think of airplanes, luxury, wealth, and modernness always come to mind. After seeing what we mention in this video, you won't think that way anymore. Airlines love to tell you that their planes are spotless, flawless, and sterile living spaces. But is it really clean? Airplanes are massive investments. Therefore, the plane needs to stay on the ground for the minimum amount of time and take off immediately. For this reason, the flight crew has only 15 minutes to clean the plane. Could 15 minutes be enough to clean a massive cabin? You are flying in economy class, and the flight attendant wants to give you a blanket. Look at your watch immediately or ask the flight attendant how many flights the plane has made today. Because in economy class, those sweet-smelling, freshly washed blankets are only given on the first flight of the day. What happens on subsequent flights? They are simply folded and given to the next passenger without caring at all what anyone did on them. The situation is no different on the tiny meal trays in front of you. These tables are wiped down only once a day, and that is when the plane spends the night on the ground. Think again before spilling your chips or putting your bread on the table. There might have been someone changing a baby or someone else vomiting on this table. In 2023, Air Canada was at the center of a scandal for forcing passengers to sit in seats covered with vomit remnants from the previous flight. Do you know what the cabin crew did? They put coffee beans in the seat pocket and sprayed perfume. There are completely separate issues with the air conditioner above your head and the water you drink. A study conducted in 2015 proved that the bacterial concentration on those ventilation vents is higher than the flush button of the airplane toilet and airport restroom locks. If you could see what is inside the cold air blowing on your face, you would probably risk sweating. Another study conducted in 2003 found coliform bacteria, which is found in feces, in 15% of the tap water tanks on airplanes. You know that coffee and tea you drink? Well, they are brewed from that water. Let's put the hygiene issue aside and talk a bit about numbers. When choosing a seat, you usually pick the ones in the front, right? Both closer to the door and more spacious. And these seats shake less than the ones in the back. But in the event of an accident, things reverse. At the moment of an accident, your chance of survival changes radically depending on your seat. While the chance for those in the front rows is 49%. In the middle rows, it jumps to 56%. And when you go to the back, it rockets to 69%. What about the safest? The seats in the middle row of the back seats practically save you from death with a 72% survival rate. I suggest giving it a chance next time. Let's talk about the whims of captains speaking with a cool voice coming from the cabin. There is a system that airlines meticulously hide from passengers, the non-pairing system. Every captain and first officer has a secret blacklist in the planning system of people they do not want to fly with, because pilots sometimes hate each other too. On an Air France flight from Geneva to Paris in 2022, two pilots grabbed each other by the collar in the air right after takeoff, and it was even claimed that one punched the other. For the rest of the flight, a cabin attendant had to watch them in the cockpit like a steward. I wish passengers could have a blacklist to put their pilots on, right? If you liked our videos where we talk about airplanes and the world's largest machines, explained with simple 3D models, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's list the other situations you might encounter on airplanes. You might think some of them are not real. You might have seen staff throwing luggage on social media. Unfortunately, these are real. So why are these images still repeated despite gathering backlash? Consider a massive Boeing 747-400 carrying 416 passengers. Assuming half of the passengers checked luggage, that makes 200 bags. If taking each one gently and stacking it takes 20 seconds, it takes 34 minutes for 2 staff members to finish this job. For an airline with a 30-minute flight turnaround time, this is impossible. This plane needs to take off as soon as possible and wait ready for the next new trip. iPads and expensive watches you bought from the country you traveled to, or luxury clothes. You thought a padlock you attached to your suitcase would protect it. You got your suitcase and the lock is in place. But when you went home, the inside of the suitcase was completely empty. How did this happen? Gently pressing on the zipper teeth with a ballpoint pen tip or a bobby pin and passing through is enough to commit theft without damaging the zipper at all. According to the Los Angeles Times, between 2001 and 2011, only 0.3% of employees were arrested for theft. But those who weren't caught, one of them confessed to stealing $800,000 worth of goods in 4 years. What if I told you that cabin attendants, who are forced to smile constantly, are actually slaves with the luxury of flying? You might think that those self-sacrificing people who bring us food and to whom we entrust our lives work under very good conditions. Although cabin attendants stand on their feet for hours preparing the plane, greeting passengers, and explaining emergency rules, they only start getting paid the moment the airplane door closes. Yes, they do 4 to 6 hours of unpaid slavery every day. On long flights, they are doomed to sleep in hidden, claustrophobic coffin-like beds right above the overhead bins. As if that wasn't enough, the cheap, toxic uniforms that companies like Delta and American Airlines made them wear created shortness of breath, rashes, hair loss, and even chemical disasters, turning bedsheets purple in hundreds of employees. The war between birds and planes also causes not-so-nice images. A bird hitting the nose of a plane traveling at 900 kilometers per hour is instantly vaporized. The plane might seem unaffected by this situation, but it actually takes a huge blow. Now imagine running into a flock of birds. According to Federal Aviation Administration data, nearly 500 bird slaughters took place in New York airports alone between 2021 and 2022. To prevent this billion-dollar damage, airports place scarecrows with rolling eyes along the runways. Imagine a newly awakened passenger suddenly seeing this scarecrow. What could be the most interesting thing in the cargo hold besides your everyday clothes? What if I say a human organ worth $1 million? Human organs intended for transfer are transported by commercial airplanes because private jets are very expensive. Of course, setbacks can sometimes happen for these organs where even minutes are crucial. Between 2014 and 2019, 170 organs went to waste due to logistical errors. And in 2018, a human heart was left behind on a seat on a Southwest Airlines flight. The door of the airplane toilet, whose operating system we explained in many videos, is also a bit different than you think. The plane rose, and because of that, your gas increased, so you went to the toilet. You locked the door and started the procedure. Right at that moment, a former airline employee who also needed the toilet managed to open the door. You came face to face. Yes, this can happen. Airplane toilets can be popped right open from the outside with a hidden latch. Why? To rescue someone if they faint inside or to prevent a child from getting locked inside. Let's say a bird completely shattered the airplane window and cabin pressure suddenly started to drop. You saw the oxygen masks dangling down from above and felt relieved. How many minutes of breathing do you think they give you? An hour? Half an hour? Only 15 minutes? The lower limit mandated by Federal Aviation Administration regulations is only 10 minutes. That 10 to 15-minute breathing period required for the pilot to bring the plane down to a safe altitude. According to some reports, many of these masks do not work either. On the Alaska Airlines flight in 2024, where the door blew off, it was noticed that the masks didn't work, but it was too late. In that golden age when the Boeing 747 first came out, passengers weren't just traveling. They were sipping their whiskey in piano bars inside the plane and eating luxury meals. So what happened next? The 1978 Deregulation Act came along and prices became free. Afterwards, airlines entered a cheapest ticket scramble to reach more passengers. Luxury meals went away, seats shrank, portions melted away, and today's modern airplanes emerged. What will you feel on your next flight? Or will this video change your desire to board a plane? Let's talk in the comments.